Hello, everybody. My name's James. Welcome back to the Planet FPL Weekender. Now, normally I would introduce my Friday partner in crime, but today I think he may be my counselor, David Hunter. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you, man?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm all right. We'll get there. This is going to be a heavily Tottenham Hotspur populated podcast with obviously no Premier League this weekend. And yeah, I suppose people are here for the fucking popcorn, aren't they? So get your popcorn ready. David told me off camera he did actually think of buying some popcorn for this podcast. I'm not going to go in too heavy, but we're obviously going to speak about Spurs quite a lot. And obviously the game last night from Crystal Palace perspective we'll start with as well. I get to find out that we'll finish eighth next year, and I've still got a chance to go into Wembley because there's some change to the Championship playoff rules. We're going to cover that. There's also some change of rules, which I discussed earlier in the week that we'd cover in terms of rule changes for the World Cup and then going into next season. And we'll have a little look at FA Cup ties for the weekend and a few things that might change the FPL permutations. But I'll be very honest, this is not going to be a heavy populated FPL podcast, but we will start with covering it, I guess, last night and the FPL conversation. There are a few FPL relevant things that have obviously come out from that game last night. Most people had some good auto subs this week. I feel for those that had Mickey van der Ven come off their bench, although I don't quite know why he's in your squad or why any Tottenham player would be in your squad. But it will certainly, David, be some people who've got some Crystal Palace assets.
Yeah, well, there'll be a few in Munoz, I guess, won't there? Who I was thinking when he went off the 10 minutes, that's a real touch for you, that isn't it? Because he's
I
such a massive
thought the
threat down
same
the
because he's an
right hand side.
outstanding wing back.
When you looked at Nathaniel Klein coming on, it was other than Chris Richards and Tyreek Mitchell, it was a pretty second string back line from Palace, wasn't it? So yeah, could probably need to wait for the prognosis on Munoz. He did look in a lot of discomfort, but
What did he
um,
do? Pop his shoulder or something?
yeah, so it was
Because obviously,
quite a bad tackle from
yeah, it
Sousa. That.
was. I could see that. It was one of them, in the ground. Well, that's an instant yellow card, and it was his other end from me. So
Yeah, but it's the
I thought,
landing that's
oh,
injured
is
him.
it even a red? So I wasn't aware that his problem was his arm, but I've seen the comments that our patrons were making last night saying
Yeah,
like, he can't move his arm.
he tried to play on and had a shot which got blocked. And I think the action of taking that shot, you could see straight away, not happy, had to go off. Fair play to him. He did try and play on. I think the crowd were getting on his back, thinking he was trying to waste time or something.
No,
It was
I knew he wasn't.
definitely a genuine injury. Um, so yeah, you probably with the FA Cup, if it's something and nothing, you never know. I wouldn't sell him just yet. You probably need to wait for the news. Other bits, I mean, Ismail Assar, you were saying all week, play him if you've got him. You were correct in saying
Someone
that.
asked me on a dead show. I can't remember who it was. It was like Sarah or someone. I was like, "Are you joking?"
Yeah, he was a handful, wasn't he? I don't know what other Palace people might have really, but maybe some Lacroix obviously didn't play. So
Few Strand Larsons,
right,
maybe
okay.
as well. A few Dean Hendersons, obviously a few Chris
Chris
Richards
Richards.
out there. He's the Palace player who hit DEFCON last night, 15 on the DEFCONs.
Yeah.
Um, Adam Wharton, obviously 2 assists, 2 bonus, actually ticking over absolutely fine at 5 million. I think he's in the top five for expected assists this
Right, okay.
season. I've not looked at it. He was certainly in and around it, but obviously he never scores, does he?
No,
I don't think he scored a goal for
he is a
Palace.
baller though, isn't he? I mean
Yeah.
that pass for the third goal was beautiful.
If I
Yeah.
just had him in midfield, David, my life might be quite significantly better at the
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah. Yeah, Palace just did what they needed to do, really, didn't they? I do think they were there for the taking with a team that was slightly more confident and sort of knew what they were doing, for want of a better phrase. Really, it was that yeah, that they were there for the taking, but credit to them, they responded well from the setback of Sar's goal being ruled out. Looks like his nose was offside or his forehead was
Do you know what?
offside.
Do you know what it made me think of? Because they showed the image in the ground. That's what they do now. Once the decision's been made, they show you the image, and obviously they showed the image in the ground. I'm looking. I'm like, he's not offside.
He looked miles offside at full speed, before I'd seen a replay, but it's because it's Van der Ven on the near side that's playing him. Well, we thought was playing it on.
Yeah,
It's actually a surprise when he was ruled offside. Um, so yeah,
It
I got,
reminded me. I've decided I know what VAR is now. Do you remember a film called The Lawnmower Man?
heard of it, never seen it.
It's like obviously if you watch it now, it looks incredibly dated, but it's like a virtual reality world,
Okay,
and your man loses his shit at the end, basically, and
right.
that's what VAR reminds me of now. It's The Lawnmower Man.
Fair enough. But yeah, it was a bit of a kick in the teeth at the time for Palace because seemed like it was going to get given, and then for Solanke to score minutes later, it was like, well, that's a real double whammy for them. But as we'll get on to, it, it was it proved not to be the case. They were comfortable winners really, and in the second half, although Tottenham, they didn't give up and they kept going. You can't really say they sort of waved the white flag. Palace weren't really under any undue stress. I
Nah, I
didn't
don't think
think
if they'd wanted to, they'd have destroyed us. It's not in
they didn't
their
need to put the
makeup, I
foot
think, to
down.
do that sort of thing,
Yeah,
really. So I wouldn't say that Palace controlled the game like particularly well in the second half necessarily, but they done what they needed to do, and I think you have an awareness that Tottenham had goal scorers on the pitch, so made sure they stayed quite compact. Yeah, didn't overly exert themselves second half. Didn't have to. Yeah, okay. A bit of credit to my guys for staying in the game and not getting slaughtered. Because the way the first half ended, you're thinking, well, this will end up being
could have been
absolutely
anything.
anything if Palace wanted it. So,
And when they
and
brought on Brennan Johnson, I was thinking, you think it can't get much worse.
well, it had gone beyond that point. I can't remember touching the ball. Did he touch the ball when he come
No,
on
he
though?
certainly wasn't a factor. Yeah, didn't do much.
I mean, he's still shy. Don't excuse me. Don't change my opinion. Look, Palace thoroughly deserved to win. I think in the period of when the game was 0-0, I think they'd been the better side. Um, the offside goal is it's ridiculous. I can't really bother to talk about that anymore. Um, few really good performers for them stood out. I think I really like JD Camvo. I thought he was really calm, composed. There wouldn't be a reason to pick him in fantasy over Chris Richards, but I'd be very surprised if he didn't continue to play fairly regularly. It'll be him or Chaddy Riyad. Riyad is cheaper. Riyad's actually only 4 million. So if they did have another injury in the back line, I think there is a period moving forward where you may want to look at him, obviously at 4 million. I wouldn't go chasing Nathaniel Klein again. That happened a bit earlier in the season. He's 3.8. I mean, under a circumstance where, let's say, Munoz was out for 6 weeks or something, I suppose that would gain a little bit of traction and attention, but I wouldn't go chasing after. There's so many cheap enough players now. I mentioned Hill, Goodmanson, Diouf on the Game Review podcast yesterday. Like Tyreek Mitchell at left wing back,
Yeah,
solid as, doesn't get beaten much. Too much for FPL as it stands at the moment. Wharton really good in midfield. His scanning is first class. His
yeah.
ability to find a killer pass and not necessarily take the easy option. He's such a joyful player. I still think, and I did a piece on him on Talking Tactics on Patreon a while ago about comparing him and Elliot Anderson and why I'm really confident Anderson will get favouritism for England. Because I think even on the goal that we score, he's got to do better. Like it's really good play from Archie Gray. But there's no
Yeah,
way that Archie Gray's getting around Anderson in that sort of
yeah.
moment. He's got to that kind of focus on the defensive aspects. It's the one thing that I think may stop a top club, as in sort of a title challenger, really going and getting him and trusting with him. And the other thing is, because obviously he plays for Palace, he actually doesn't touch the ball as often as someone as good as he is you would expect, right? They're at their best in terms of on transition. So he never feels like he's running the game per se, right? There's certain players, like, Rodri feels like he runs the football match when he's at his
Yeah.
best. You'll never get that sort of thing from Adam Wharton. So I think there's a little bit of concern about that. But
I was
in terms of his actual passing ability, wow,
I was just
what a
thinking when
player.
you were talking about him actually, if you put him in the City team, he'd shine, wouldn't he? You know,
Of course.
a ball possession heavy team like them, where more often than not
But
they're
I
not
think if
defending.
he played just as the single pivot, there would be a little bit of concern about him on turnovers. And so
In the
everyone's
moment,
setting up
yeah.
for fast counters against City, right? Look at Nottingham Forest the other night. So I think that little bit of concern does linger. You wouldn't have that concern about Anderson. And Anderson's very underrated in terms of his ability to play vertical passes as well. Certainly want Adam Wharton still to go to the World Cup without
Yeah,
any doubt about that. Brilliant player. Wish he played for my team. I thought Gesand was good. Him and Sarr in terms of their ability to go and run in behind. Right selection from Oliver Glasner in terms of putting as much pace at that top end of the pitch. I thought Strand Larson was outstanding.
he was good. Yeah,
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 really
he was
good.
good. Yeah,
Really good. I'd said we'd been linked with him in January, and I said, stop going for this kind of average shit. I didn't mean that disparagingly in the sense of like, oh, I think he's
sounds it.
terrible. Yeah, I know. In hindsight, it's like, yeah, he'd be ideal and he's as good as anything else I've got, by the way. But it's like it's not significantly better than what I've got. But I thought his link play was really, really good. And the benefit of having the two speedsters either side of him suited him absolutely down to the ground. And he had a little bit of an aura of threat around him.
Yeah,
You know, oh, he's not just a target man, or it's like, yeah, if he gets the opportunities, you'd fancy him actually, as obviously proven on the second goal. So I thought he was really, really good. If you've got Palace assets, bar obviously you want Munoz's information, I presume you hold for Leeds at home.
yeah, I
I,
think
I
so. Yeah,
guess the slight problem a few people will have is they might have significant transfers in the bank, 4 or 5, and might be sitting there with, say, Saar, 2 or 3 Arsenal, 2 Man City, something like that. And, I got to deal with it at some point. And obviously, they've all got decent fixtures in game week 30. I'd say the key to that decision in terms of whether you feel you have to bin Palace early might come down to how you feel about Manchester City's lineup next Saturday, based on whatever they do in the Bernabeu next week. And if you're concerned about, I mean, if you're sitting there and it's like, I've got Saar and Semenyo, I need to sell one. Like, ultimately, if you're dead end into 31, if you think there's a chance that Semenyo doesn't start at West Ham, and I don't think it's a significantly worse fixture than what Palace have got, right?
yeah,
They're both playing two sides who I guess are still in danger. Palace obviously host Leeds next. The win, I think, guarantees that they're safe. I think if you'd looked at it on paper, if Tottenham had won last night, they'd only been 3 points behind Palace, and you'd have gone, okay, maybe there's a small chance that they still get sucked into it. Because I think their final 5 are quite challenging. But with that in mind as well, for those who've already used the wild card as well, it's Newcastle at home 32, it's West Ham at home 33. Is obviously every chance that you get a double as part of that in 33. So for those who are like, oh, I've used my free hit and stuff like that, it's worth bearing in mind. And of course, as we'll probably cover off later towards the end of this pod, there is obviously still the possibility that City Palace will end up back in game week 31. Could even end up in game week 32 if City and Palace both go out of Europe, for example. So we'll have more information on what those probabilities are this time next week. But yeah, they pulled themselves clear. Never particularly thought they'd be in trouble in any case. It gives them, for them, hopefully the opportunity to go and do really well in the Conference League. And I think most of us neutrals would want them to go and do very well in the Conference
yeah,
League.
very much so. Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely, yeah. I think most of us are, yeah, I don't want the rivals to. There'll be a few clubs who obviously hate Palace and Millwalls and stuff, Brighton, etc. But I think most of us feel like they got shammed ending up in that competition. Good luck to them, go and win it, and then have your Europa League place that technically you weren't last year. Have it next year by that route would be a nice end to the season to them. There is that consequence as well. If Palace go and beat Leeds, I think because of West Ham and Forest looking particularly good, if Tottenham sorted their life out, there is a chance it does end up being a high points total this year. Obviously, from a Tottenham perspective, I can't really see that at the moment, but there is a chance that it goes higher than, say, 40 points. So it's not done yet. What they want to do is put themselves in a position where if they got to, say, a semi-final, they can just jack the league in,
yeah, yeah, definitely.
I think.
Yeah,
And you should be aware of that. That's a possibility. Although Glasner just doesn't really rotate, does he, particularly? He's obviously got a little bit he can do it now with who plays with Saar, whether it's Gessan, Brennan Johnson, Jeremy Pino, little bit of change in midfield, Kamada, Hughes. Jefferson Lerma should be back available for their next game as well. I think was he back on the bench, Jefferson Lerma, last night? Probably you don't know. I don't know.
yeah, I don't know.
No.
Matata might be back soon as well. I think, might be.
Yeah, but he won't out Strand Larson at the moment.
Not on last night's display, no.
Yeah, he's still about fourth, I think, for XG. Mateo.
Yeah, no, he's that's always been his thing,
He's
hasn't
not
it?
played for about 2 months.
Yeah, there was that game against was it Bournemouth earlier in the season where he just got an absolute madness in terms of XG and still scored
Yeah.
at least a couple. Yeah, he does get chances.
Yeah, probably similar to Tottenham's XG in all first halves this season. From a fantasy perspective of Tottenham, there's nothing to talk about. The only thing to mention is, as it stands right now, unless something changes over the next week, Hugo Ekitike is the best captain in game week 30, and I won't be told otherwise. Do you want to disagree with that, Dave? It's your team.
No, I mean he would be the best Liverpool captain if that's where you go. If that's where you're going with it. Said before we started, there are other routes you can go for captaincy with Haaland at West Ham and Bruno Fernandes always pretty reliable at Old Trafford against Aston Villa. But yeah, Akatike, given his last game at Anfield, he scored a couple and 15 pointer, wasn't it? So yeah,
Ekitike v Salah.
Akatike. Yeah.
So there is a little bit of a consequence that I think Salah does look marginally better than he did with obviously Mickey van der Ven's red card, because it means Tottenham don't have a natural left-sided centre back. If Sousa plays left back, there is a chance Mo will eat him alive. It gives us Sousa gives us better balance. He's not ready. I'm
No,
afraid to say.
I agree with that.
And I think you saw that early on with the yellow card against Daniel Munoz. Um, and I understood why
Yeah, so
Igor Tudor took him off. In terms of the Tottenham perspective on the game last night, shout out to Archie Gray, who I don't think personally is going to turn into the player that many think that he will. But he's beginning to show some good individual traits and taking a bit more responsibility. And I wish other people looked as devastated with the scenario as he does. He needs to keep playing at the moment. I mean, the poor lad plays anywhere. Please, Papsar played. I thought in the second half, Bissouma did okay. Um, Otherwise, it's clutching at straws. I'm not going to bullshit you. My heart sank when the game started immediately. Um, we couldn't really tell from the lineup if it was a back four or a back three, because obviously you could play Paulinho obviously into midfield. Maybe was it a 4-3-3? I liked the idea of having the three in there against Palace's too. So if you had Sarin and Gray running off the sides of Palace's two central midfield players, I thought there could maybe be a bit of a joy in that, and then obviously keep the three players kind of high, the three attacking players, so Tell, Solanke, and Mawani, and maybe even try and pin their wing backs a bit. That was kind of what I was hoping for when I saw the team, but did think that it was probably going to be a back three. Tottenham were lining it up, graphics in the ground, and as a back three. But even the picking of the back three, the identification of player traits was wrong. Even with the same 11, it didn't make sense to me. So it could have been Porro as right wing back,
yeah,
Paulinho as Paulinho
Porro,
as right sided centre back,
yeah.
and Gray in midfield with Sarr with the same team.
He sort of wasted Porro last night playing where he did. It's I
Mind
didn't
you,
get
I
that.
was annoyed when they took him off because he's the only one who obviously we went very direct in the second half, trying to play balls into channels. He's the only one who could do it. He's the only one who's got any distribution from the back line. Took him off, and I didn't agree with that. But yeah, he should have played wing back. That would have made complete sense to me. You got him higher and wider. Archie is not a wing back, and Paulinho in midfield.
Yeah,
The less said, the better. So yeah, and they said at the period of 0-0, Palace were having way more of the ball than I'd liked. It was yet another home game where we don't start with any tempo to it. The crowd were doing their best in the opening half hour, but the team weren't giving the crowd anything to like chase after. Then this bizarre offside goal happens. The crowd gets up for it. We score quite quickly afterwards. Bang, we're in.
yep,
Um, Good finish from Dom to get himself in a position, but obviously all really good work basically from Archie Gray. Then the red card incident, and I knew it immediately. I'm kind of in line with the edge of the penalty area on the side. Mickey tries to step out and be aggressive. He doesn't win it. It kind of cannons into the air. He then doesn't react. His reactions in terms of the basics of the defensive game aren't good enough. He has to get himself back goal side. So all he has to do. Sar's obviously wrong side of him. Sar's not slow. Mickey's obviously quick, but it's over short distance. You ain't getting him. At that point, you have to just pray that your goalkeeper gets you out
Yeah,
of it.
just let him go. Yeah,
And if he scores, that's not as bad as what happened,
yeah,
because the chances are your man's scoring anyway. I still dislike it. Into the note that 100% it's the correct decision, no doubt about it whatsoever. I still think the punishment on that is absurdly harsh, in the fact that the opponent still gets the penalty. So I'm not crying about the decision. The decision's right. The referee's got absolutely no choice. It's 100% a red card. But the punishment of what happens just still feels so strong when the
yeah.
opponent still gets a penalty.
I don't disagree with that. It is really, really harsh. It's
You
it's
saw, I mean,
almost
Palace obviously
game
suffered
ending.
it with Lacroix at the weekend at Manchester United, which was nowhere near as obvious as the incident with Mickey van der Ven last night. The punishment on that, so Palace have now had it both sides. It's way too harsh.
Mm, yeah,
That
I agree.
he's not endangering your opponent. He's pulled him. Okay, you had a card. You've still got the penalty. Crack on. I wouldn't even almost mind under that, so it could be quite controversial. But if you miss the penalty, then he's sent off, and then it's up to Saar whether he scores or not. I think at that point, Palace would say, yeah, send him off rather than have the goal. That's the bigger impact to the game, almost. And then obviously it goes downhill really quickly. We're down to 10 men. Tudor decides in his wisdom. I understood taking Sousa off because that could have been 9, but unfortunately reduced us to 9 men anyway by bringing on Conor Gallagher, who I actually thought probably had his best game for Tottenham last night, and I'd have
That
rated him.
position, wasn't
I'd have rated him 4 out of 10 probably.
he?
That's the context of what I've seen of him so far. Yeah, look, I mean, ultimately, when he made the late changes late in the game and he took Porro off, he should have just taken Gallagher back off. And I understand the difficulty of doing that from a manager perspective for a player who's already suffering with confidence, etc. He's nobody's wing back, is he?
No,
It's ridiculous. Mind you, from what I've seen so far, he's nobody's central midfield player other than my own. Yeah. Let's not single out players, James, individually. No, let's not do that. So the crowd will do it instead. I'm sure many of you who watched the game would have heard Vicario getting booed just before half time. There is nothing helpful in that whatsoever. Clearly, yes, he and several other players obviously have to do much better on the third goal. They don't react to the moment of danger. Booing your goalkeeper is almost the worst thing you could have. Listen, I would never boo Conor Gallagher. Would never boo any player wearing the shirt at that point of a game when you're down to 10 men and stuff. Like, you ain't making shit any better. What Tottenham should do, whether it's Tudor or someone else, and it might very quickly be someone else, then if you want to just check socials, David, to check that that information is still correct at the time of recording at 10:30 on Friday morning. But he should drop him and play Kinski for the 2 games against Atletico and Liverpool, because they're irrelevant. And people will watch Kinski for 3 games
and
and it will
realize
get
that's not the solution. Yeah,
correct.
yeah, yeah.
Now, what Kinski will definitely improve is the distribution stuff. But I near guarantee you that if he starts at Anfield, Liverpool will score from a corner. I near guarantee you.
Yeah.
And Vic's not good on them either, by the way. Vic still has the capability to make some decent saves. He's suffering massively. He probably wants taken out of it. There are 3 games, truthfully, they're irrelevant. Put Kinski in, and if Kinski does great in the 3 games, then fine, run with him. But I suspect he wouldn't,
Yeah.
and that's a lot of where we're at. Obviously, we are in a shit situation from an injury perspective. We shouldn't be in this shit of a situation, but even in the sense you can now look forward. Oh, Romero's back. The liability that we can't cope without is back, but obviously he hasn't got his mate Van der Ven for the Liverpool game. You can see it now, can't you? They'll both play at Forest until one of them against Forest until one of them gets injured in the second leg against Atleti. It'll probably be Van der Ven, over which point Romero will get booked against Liverpool and not in the Forest and give himself a 2 game suspension. It's just how the whole season is going at the moment. On Igor Tudor,
He's not the guy. He's not the
no,
guy.
no, he's probably not, David, but I don't know what the answer is.
No, well, no, I don't. I don't. But
About the best solution I've heard is something like Gareth Southgate. I read an interview with Gareth Southgate a couple of weeks ago where he said he's got no interest in doing it. Now, Tottenham clearly are going to continue to go down an interim route because I'm pretty certain that they've set their hearts completely on Maurizio Pochettino. And do you know what? I don't know if it's worth Tottenham staying up to get something shit that then fucks next season continuously. And then Tottenham just need to scratch their itch with Pochettino and probably get it over and done with now. We think he would still take the job in the Championship.
Yeah, I heard you say that. Yeah.
Um, and it'll obviously be a very young team, and it gives Pochettino the clear out immediately. Because whether we stay up or go down, there needs to be a huge clear out of crap footballers and crap mentality, almost bigger than the football element, out of that football club.
I was
Because
thinking that watching
they're,
it.
they're a disaster.
Yeah, I was thinking that watching it. If
But
if you were to go down, you could shift the vast majority of those footballers that you don't like and start again with young,
that's I
hungry players. Yeah.
look. I obviously want us to stay up. There is no bone of me thinking that relegation would be good
No, no,
because
of course not.
it sets us back years. But in the immediate, I might have a team that I can look forward to watching next year
Yeah.
because I get rid of most of this lot. I hate them, the majority of them.
I think
There's,
Newcastle were a bit like this when they went down and Benitez,
yeah,
you said Poch might do a season in the championship. Benitez stayed on in the championship and that was everyone, the Newcastle fans had a good time because they obviously went back up at the first time of asking. And I'm sure, despite what we think of Spurs at the moment, you should easily be in the mix to go straight back up. So yeah, I do.
slightly concerning if we're not.
Yeah, you don't want relegation, of course not. But I think if the worst did happen, there would it might give you a team that you can be more proud of than what you've got at the moment. Definitely.
The reason I say Gareth Southgate as a potential solution, what I was going to say is I saw an interview him recently. We said actually he's got no interest in going back to management at the moment. But if Tottenham offered him a deal that was 300 grand a week till the end of the season, and said, "Oh, by the way, mate, if you keep us up, we'll give you 10 million," which would be worthwhile under the
It
scheme
would,
of
yeah.
things. That sort of shit for 2 months' work, I think, would be very tempting. And what he does obviously have experience is managing a high profile job. It is a high profile job that is in a position that it shouldn't be in. But listen, you dealt with the pressure of England. Actually, dealing with the pressure of Tottenham actually probably should be relatively easy. We don't have to worry about expansive football at the moment. That's often been a criticism of him. My layered concern to someone like him would be, at least with England, he had good footballers because Tottenham don't
I know.
at the moment.
Yeah.
Romero coming back will hopefully make some things better for the running. Destiny Doggy is the only one we think we've got a chance of getting back from injury prior to the March international breaks. That would be a help for him to play left back. I'd say only Destiny Doggy. Jed Spence was kind of rated 50-50 going into this one. So there's every chance he'll be back involved, maybe even for the first leg against Atleti next week. I wouldn't give a shit if Tottenham played kids, but actually I think Tottenham should use the games where if we get beat, which is obviously what's expected, then that's normal at the moment. And if we manage to get a decent result, it might build a little bit of confidence because
Yeah.
the confidence on the floor. So if you play a good side like Atleti and you did manage to do something, so okay, maybe that builds a little bit of confidence into some of the things to go on. But yeah, truthfully, we'd be better off without the quarterfinals of the Champions League. I'm not going to lie. Listen, if we go through, I'm not going to not celebrate on the night because, 17th, you know the rest. I might still go to Budapest. I doubt it because I'd have to go through Arsenal in the semi-finals. So there's near impossibilities of that. Um, in the running, I mean, the Forest game right now, I mean, if Tottenham had the same lineup that they had last night against Nottingham Forest, I'd probably take a draw. Can't see it. They're genuinely, they're so much better than us.
And they're so much more confident than you as well at the moment. It's
And then there's hoping after
yeah.
the break, because obviously we'll have a period where we don't play football for, assuming we're out the Champions League, we won't play football for 3 weeks. And then you're hoping that when we go to Sunderland in game week 32, that they've got nothing to play for, maybe, and we may have a Kudos or a Bergval or something like that back that might help a little bit. I saw Suj last night on our Slack said during the game, he said, you can't see who's going to bring the spark. Well, the song about Kudos is you can't start a fire without a spark. And he would, what shape he'd be in with having not played football for 3.5 months, I don't know. But we do hope that we'll be back around about then. If suddenly you've got Kudos playing right, Tell playing left, and one of the nines, or maybe even two of the nines, you just went bollocks, is 4-4-2 for the rest of this season, then there are goals in that team at the top
Right.
end.
Yeah.
All three of the nines have scored in Tudor's 3 games. There isn't a lot of else that will contribute to that other than obviously set piece stuff. And that's the only thing that we've got over someone like Forest. If Forest end up going down, it would be because of draw games rather than win them. Things like drawing 0-0 at home to Wolves. But they're better than us. There isn't a doubt in my mind that West Ham United are better than us with the likes of Bowen, Somerville, the difference that this side's made defensively recently. Matthias Fernandes. If we signed Matthias Fernandes in the summer, I'd probably make him fucking captain. Just get on with it. I'm hoping next season that if we're in the championship, Archie Gray's captain. Can I give you some numbers? This is from Dan FPL Chancer, one of our patrons who's a Tottenham fan. We all remember the infamous night against Chelsea, the Udogi and Romero red cards. How many points Tottenham have got in the 95 league games since then? 95 league games.
How many league points?
Yeah, just have a guess.
95 games since then.
Yeah.
30.
Don't be stupid, Dave. The answer is 107
Right. Okay.
from 95 games. So this is something that's been coming for a long time. And for all the Ange sympathisers, oh, Ange won a trophy. How did you sack him? Listen, Ange had to move on. Because unfortunately, do you know what else happened towards the end of last season? I didn't really realise this till last night. Ange normalised losing.
Yeah.
Yes, there was a winning mentality in Europa League, but there was also a normalisation of losing in the league. It don't matter.
That's
And
one
it
of the
didn't
worst.
and it didn't matter last year. But unfortunately, the players have then come forward into this season and losing is there's no consequence to losing. And it spiraled.
Me saying 30 then has to be one of the worst guesses anyone's ever made about anything
Yes,
in
it is,
the history
David.
of the
Yeah.
world. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've really let myself down there.
Well, considering we're on 29 points this season, David, um, yeah. Whether we'll get to 30 this season remains to be seen,
Can we
I
start the
must
review
say.
again? Is that possible? No, we're in too far now, aren't we?
I'll tell you what I do at times like this. I'm going to shout out one of our patrons, Ian, he lives in Australia and he's not very well at the moment. I want to shout you out, Ian. I'm thinking of you because there are more important things in the world. I go home and see the little man sleeping. There's more important things in the world. I think of Bury. Lost their football club. Didn't have a football club. They're obviously a kind of a thing, this club now. Literally didn't have a football club to go and support for a couple of years. I think it's Sheffield Wednesday on -7 and what they've gone through for various years. The worst thing that will happen here to Tottenham Hotspur is we'll get relegated.
Yeah.
And I might get to see some winning football and some good football next year. Because I
No,
think if we
no
stay up,
VAR.
unless who knows? I'll probably get VAR in the championship next year. I'd be sod's law, wouldn't it? Um, unless that squad is completely gutted, then there's every chance we'll still be in this position again next year. How they have failed to identify the requirement to have a central midfield player that can play football over the last couple of years is beyond comprehension. It's staggering.
Yeah.
I watch Wolves every single week, even when they were shit, and watch Andre and João Gomez and know that they would walk in my team. Walk in my team. I don't think our midfield's better than Burnley.
No, the midfield is an absolute bin fire, isn't it, at Tottenham? That's the worst area of the pitch, without a shadow of a doubt.
They have I mean, they all turn like forklift trucks, mate. All of
Yeah.
them. Rule of truck. The only one who doesn't is Sarr. And I thought Pap did okay last night. Him and Tell try to do things at speed, which obviously leads to the second goal. But the only two
Yeah.
players who do want to do things with speed, unfortunately, obviously can't carry a mistake like that at the moment. They'll learn from it. They're two players that I'd probably want to keep next year, but there ain't many. Honestly, well, yeah, let Romero go, but keep Van der Ven. Now he could piss off and all.
That's why the Gal.
Take the money before everybody realizes that actually he is a terrible penalty box defender.
Yeah,
And right now, I can't really carry that shit. But unfortunately, at the same time, Kevin Dancer and Radu Dragishin, who will head the ball out the penalty area, they're awful on the ball. The only reason people like Danso, truthfully, is because Dragishin's that much worse. He
yeah,
missed out last night, another minor injury problem. No, I would, if we went down, players I'd want to keep, Archie Gray because of age, you'd let it develop. I would want to hold on to Lucas Bergvall, but I realise it'd be a sellable asset. I'd want to hold on to Papsar. Um, Whether you'd end up holding on like a Madison or Kulusevski because their injuries, I mean, what a miss those two
yeah, yeah.
have been. But we've known that all season. Um, Kinski can play in goal next year. Keep Brandon Austin. I actually last night, David, it's probably more for Tottenham next week, but I actually listed what I thought we'd probably get in transfer fees in the summer for every player and what sort of squad we'd look at next year. And there's a lot of money there that would come in. And when I did these valuations, I kind of underappreciated all of them because you're more forced into, you're not going to get the price you want if you get relegated. So I'm looking at selling players like Jed Spence for like 20 million, for example.
Yeah, you get more. Yeah, there was
Well, no, we
Ornstein said
probably wouldn't if we go down.
Ornstein said something that most, thanks to Levy, most of the players have clauses in their contracts that if you were to go down, that their wages will reduce by 50%, wouldn't they? So they're not going to want to hang around if that's the case. So getting them out should be, in theory, a little bit easier than it would have been otherwise.
Yeah, we thank Daniel for that. But again, you were better off with Levy. Daniel Levy is part of the problem that has led to this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're talking like you're down and you're not even in the bottom three yet. I know it looks grim at the moment.
It is. I thought this on the way home last night. It is ridiculous. It felt like we got relegated last night.
Yeah. I mean, there are still, without a shadow of a doubt, twisted turns left in
We're
this.
not in the bottom three.
I know you're not even in the bottom three yet. So, yeah. I mean, after a night last night, and you saw it.
The problem is, David, to give you like a more updated stat, we have 12 points from the last 20 games.
Yeah.
We may need 12 points to stay up.
I know. I know, but there's still twists and turns.
No, I know. I was thinking last night about like every year that they were in trouble, kept telling Sean and other Everton fans to piss off. Like, you'd be all right. No, we're doomed this time. I'm telling you, it's like every year to get out of it. Well, that's what Tottenham need is something like that creation of the Everton have seemed to have in the running of trying to win home games, but there's no attachment between the fans and the crowd. The
Yeah.
stadium obviously doesn't create like a hostile environment, which you kind of need it to be. I think the fans tried their best in the last half hour, but unless the team does something that
Yeah.
inspires the continuation of that, it's tough.
Yeah.
The fans, even in the second half, were trying, but half of them probably sitting there. I mean, the jumper hoops you do in your mind from thinking we have to win this game to praying that Vicario is going to save a penalty that he's never done in his fucking life. And we might somehow scrape a 1-0 out of this, to then thinking, I'll take a draw now, to then thinking 5 minutes later, I'll take not getting absolutely slaughtered here because now I'm thinking about goal difference. Like the jumping at hoops to the change of what you wanted during the game last night. It's pretty shit. But yeah, listen, ultimately, there are 9 games to go. I said yesterday there were 10 games to go, right off 2.5 of them. The half being depends if Villa are still in the Europa League or not. We'll lose at Liverpool. We'll lose at Chelsea. I'd say there's every chance we get officially relegated at Chelsea, by the way, which they'll absolutely love. But from Forest, Brighton, Leeds, Everton at home, Trips, Sunderland, and Wolves, yeah, we need to do something. How much we'll need to do will obviously depend on Forest, West Ham, and Leeds are there at the moment. But I think we probably need to win 4 of those 6 games. I can't see us winning one. That's just the reality right now.
The way it feels at the moment. Yeah. Um, yeah. I don't feel sorry for Tottenham, but I feel sorry for you, given the time.
No, I said that on our
Put in.
Slack last night. I
Yeah.
chat out Lee Sherwood, who's an Arsenal fan.
Mm.
It's one of our patrons. Said last night. He said this chat should be absolutely ripping Tottenham apart in terms of how bad they are. Like a lot of people are probably holding back, and fairly rightly, as he acknowledged, because we don't want James to be in the pain that I'm in, if you will, as a fan. And as I wrote back, I said, "You guys crack on." So maybe personally, I might not deserve it. Maybe I do, but the club deserves it. The club deserves every bit of criticism it gets. And when I talk about the gutting of the playing squad, whether we stay up or go down, Obviously, that will be inevitable if it goes down, but that includes the people upstairs as well. Vinay Venkatesan, fuck off. Johan Lange, fuck off. I can't paint that any differently. Those two people have got to get out of my football club, whatever happens.
Yeah.
So I look at the squad we might have next year in the championship, and I'm trying to be positive. I see some fucking excitement in there. People forget the people out on loan that would actually, I think, just come straight back in and do a job. Kota Takai, a young Japanese player, has gone and played for Borussia Mönchengladbach.
Vuskovic.
Well, Vuskovic will probably get sold.
Yeah.
It's what about Barcelona want him now? So
Right.
like Barcelona and Bayern Munich want him. If you could keep him and he plays in the championship, remarkable. But ultimately, if these are the football clubs that want him, you're gonna minimum 40 million.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
I think Tottenham, truthfully, will get sort of circa 150 and above just for the three centre backs. That's plugging them all in at an average of 50. If we stay up, Tottenham will want about 80 for Romero. It might not get that much, but that's roughly what they'll want. Mickey van der Ven, I think, would be similar number in terms of what they'd want. I think, by the way, you'll end up with Mickey.
Potentially. Yeah, you've been quite adamant on that, haven't you?
He won't defend the penalty area like Verge. Verge has his moments. We know he's a twerker and stuff like that. Ashley Phillips has had years of experience playing in the championship, centre back. Got Phillips, Kota Takai, Alfie Dorrington's out on a brilliant young player in Janiyah Byfield. Souza, left back. He don't look ready to play in the Premier League, but he probably plug and go in the championship. Maybe you offer someone like Ben Davis a 1 year contract as a bit of an experience to keep around that, right? Perhaps Sar Bergvall I'd like to keep. Callum Olasese is a highly rated central midfield player. Tyrese Hall, George Abbott out on loan. Archie Gray, you would hope would stay unless someone offered pretty much Tottenham their money back of the 40 million that they spent. Alfie Devine, Jamie Donnelly, Will Lancashire, all out on loan. Mikey Moore, Rangers, walks back into the team next year. There's another exciting young winger, Tynan Thompson, in the youth team. Dane Scarlett is at Hibs. Luca Williams-Barnett is the next big young talent that people will hear about and will be involved in that squad next year if Tottenham go down. And quite frankly, I'd rather watch and get behind a lot of these young kids than what I'm watching at the moment.
I get it.
And get Poch, truthfully. I've been largely against it, but get Poch back to lead the young kids. And people might go, James, that team don't come back up from the championship. I don't disagree with anyone that would say that. But we will get, honestly, if the whole squad completely got gutted, I don't see what would Kudos go for. Let's go. Tottenham bought him for 60. Let's say he went for 40. There's so many examples of that Tottenham would get in, I think, minimum 300, possibly even upwards towards 500 million in terms of incomes. Then you sprinkle that with spend 150 back of that. 300 or so is your shortfall of what you lose. Add that to this young team, and it might be enjoyable next year. I said to you, Cameron, before we started, I didn't know you could get a direct train from King's Cross to Lincoln. I didn't realise it was that easy. I thought you'd probably have to change at Grantham or Nottingham or something like that. We might win more games than we lose next year. So look, it would be disastrous for the football club, obviously, if it goes down. It's also disastrous for Nottingham Forest or West Ham.
Yeah.
If they go down. To a lesser extent, probably Leeds, because of just been there.
You covered West Ham on Tottenham, didn't you, about the implications on their finances?
The implications to West Ham are,
worse than yours.
Yeah. Plausible but severe is what West Ham have called it themselves. The plausible but severe scenario if they go down, because that's financially in big trouble. If West Ham went down, you looked at sellable assets, truthfully, you'd look around at people like Fernandez, obviously, Bowen, obviously, Somerville, obviously. And then actually, Diouf, I'll probably add on to that as well. There's not too many that would go for the sort of sums that Tottenham would get. If Forest went down, Anderson and Murillo alone will be monstrous.
Gibbs White,
Morgan Gibbs White, another one, obviously, as well. So, I mean, from a financial perspective, West Ham would be the worst implicated. There's nothing worse than feeling like you ain't got something to believe in. We ain't got it.
No.
I would say to people, and we may still get out of this, and you're quite right to say we're not even in the bottom three. Listen, if we somehow manage to pull 4 wins out of 9, we'll probably stay up, won't we? There's a scenario where 3 wins might even be enough. There's a weird scenario, maybe even 2 wins might be enough. Not that I can see West Ham Forest not picking up victories. to the Tottenham fans, stop watching West Ham and Forest. It's not going to do your mental health any good. Accept now that we'll lose to Liverpool. Just accept it. And if a miracle happens and we got a draw or something, it's a bonus. Then it's all eyes focus on Forest is obviously more important. I said that before the North London derby. I'd rather beat Forest than beat Arsenal.
Yeah,
It's more
yeah.
important.
I noticed that when you play Forest, the Villa West Ham game is exactly the same time, isn't it? Before the Carabao Cup final.
Yeah.
So that would be that stop people watching West Ham at least.
However, for the neutrals who are watching, if anyone, I don't understand right now anyone doesn't think Tottenham will get relegated.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree. I mean, out of the three, West Ham, Forest, and Tottenham, there are two clubs there that are scrapping and fighting and showing a
There's
bit
not
of
a
what
doubt in my mind at the
neither of them.
moment that Wolves are better than my team. Never mind Forest and West Ham.
Yeah. On current form, yeah, no doubt about it.
Here's a question for you: what's more likely, Wolves to get to 29 points or Tottenham to get to 40?
What Wolves on at the moment?
16,
And Tottenham are on
29.
probably, I don't know, both unlikely.
Have you seen Wolves' fixtures?
Yeah, they're better than yours, definitely.
The bad news for Wolves is Forest and West Ham are definitely going to get points.
Yeah.
So we can have this conversation about Tottenham for hours. I think that's enough. The good news, as I said near the start, is if we finish 8th next year, we might get promoted.
Good segue. Yes. So the
I'll rip
72
them properly on Tottenham next week
yeah, that's just
when
the
I get back
order.
from Madrid.
Yeah, the 72 EFL clubs have voted to change the structure of the playoffs, which from the outside looking in,
It's only the championship,
it's
right?
only initially, yeah, it's only the championship initially next
That's
season.
interesting. That
Yeah.
I suppose the idea on that is probably that they'll try the championship, and if people like it, they'll add it to League One and League Two. I guess.
I guess so, yeah. Yeah, so top eight will get you, if you finish eighth, you get a playoff place basically. So fifth to eighth will play each other in a one-legged game, and then the winners of that will play third to sixth in third and fourth in a two-legged semi-final. So it's basically a quarter final to start off the playoffs. So yeah, you can finish eighth in the championship next season and end up in the Premier League, which, I mean, the championship has always been one of the best leagues in terms of entertainment and jeopardy to sort of keep an eye on, because it tends to be so bunched, the table. So I don't know whether this was needed, but I guess the clubs have decided that potentially more games, more revenue, more eyes on the product. And if your season kind of spirals out of control and you were one of the favourites, I guess there's that extra bit of safety net, I suppose, if you can sort of climb up to eighth and still have a fighting chance of getting all the money in from being a Premier League club. It's I don't deny it'll still be exciting even with the new format, but I question from a sporting point of view whether it was actually needed, because the playoffs, I don't think it was something that needed fixing, to be honest. They're always great, aren't they, from the way they are at the moment?
Are
so
they?
yeah, I always watch the playoffs.
I think that there's just so much at stake now. They're not as fluid as they used to be in terms of the game quality. There's just so much at stake from a year every year, don't you? This is what it's worth if you get promoted. Like, oh, the biggest game, the richest game in football, etc.
But that won't
It's
change
so
with
much
an
at
extra
stake.
two. That won't change with an
No,
extra two
no.
places. Um,
They haven't defined yet the final structure of it. I think what I'd like with that is that, because you could have a scenario here where obviously it would be fifth against eighth, one leg, sixth against seventh, one leg. You could have a scenario where in the semi-finals, fourth is playing seventh and third is playing fifth, I guess.
yeah,
Is that a possibility? So I think probably what they need to do with that is whoever's the lowest ranked position. I don't know if this is what they're deliberating. Whoever's the lowest ranked position of what's left of the semi-finals, that's who plays third. Rather than it already being mapped out, you go, right, whoever's ranked lowest, people have wanted this in the Champions League as well. Like, whoever's the lowest ranked team in, they play the team that's first. It's more awkward because of scheduling and stuff like that in the Champions League and logistics. But in the Championship, yeah, so if the lowest ranked team left in does prove to be sixth, then they play third.
Yeah, don't
If
know
it's
whether that's been
eighth,
determined
then
yet.
they play third. Maybe that's what they're thinking about when they say the final. It's not completely been finalised yet.
Yeah,
But it would feel wrong if the fourth played a lower ranked team than third. I think
yeah.
is wrong.
Finishing higher in the league's got to mean something, hasn't it?
Correct.
In terms of the playoff
And
playoff
there's not a
game.
guarantee that it would do.
Yeah. Otherwise, the jeopardy of the actual league campaign is diluted. Um, yeah, I mean, if you finish eighth in the championship and get promoted,
So
you got a lot of work to do, haven't you, to be competitive in the Premier League? It's
the format's been in place very similarly in the National League
yeah, yeah,
for a while. I think most of us, the headline is, well, you could finish eighth and get promoted. I don't think most people like that. I don't know if it's a good thing either. I think Sunderland finished well off Leeds and Burnley last year. I think Sunderland were fourth or fifth in the playoffs. Second leg at home, wasn't it? Must have finished fourth. Sheffield
Coventry, yeah,
United were third, weren't
yeah.
they? And Sunderland were well off Leeds, Burnley. Because how Sunderland come up fourth? They did great and stuff. But Sunderland was a very, very unique case scenario in the sense they had huge PSR
Yeah.
headroom because they'd spent very little in the previous couple of years in the championship.
Yeah, they brought a
And they're
brand
obviously a
effectively.
very sizable football club as it
Yeah.
is anyway, with great support, that they could go for it. Most others can't. And
No.
you've seen too many teams come. And ultimately, you could get a side that comes up from eighth who's got no power to go for it. And we want less scenarios of what we've had. That we're obviously subject to Tottenham, I guess, now it stands, possibly going to get an exciting relegation battle this year. But for the previous 2 seasons, we did not.
Yeah.
We don't really want that. We want the way this is going to finish. There are three teams in massive trouble that arguably shouldn't be. We want the league to be competitive. It's not we don't want these teams to come up, but I don't know, Preston North End finish in the top two. Great. If they finish third and win the playoff, great. I don't know if at the last minute, they just managed to get in at eighth and maybe not quite ready to come up all the way. Preston's a good one, by the way. It's another direct train that I'm
It's
looking
so mad you
forward to
just
next year.
mentioned them. I was literally about to say, let's say for the sake of argument, Preston finished eighth. And
That's just random, isn't it? Preston's
Unagi.
going to be the guy. It could be. I mean, imagine Tottenham finish eighth in the championship next. People are going to call it a fix, aren't they?
Yeah, you can see it. Well,
Don't worry.
let's just say,
I don't think we do. If we finish eighth, I don't
yeah,
think we're going to go up.
let's just say for the sake of argument, Preston did get promoted from eighth, and it's my neck of the woods basically. But they are run.
Oh, you've got to live with this now. I'm miles from Preston.
Yeah, some of the lads at footy support the North End, but they are run fairly responsibly. They don't tend to spend a lot of money that they don't have, much to the annoyance of some of their fans, I think. But I think that's the right way to go. But let's say, for example, they got promoted from eighth, and then thought, yeah, this is our one shot at it. We've got to spend money we haven't got to try and compete in the Premier League. Then they went down, and then back in the Championship, parachute payments end. You're in massive trouble then. You probably wish you would never got promoted in the first place. So hopefully that won't be something that comes out of this.
The other thing it's worth acknowledging that Sunderland did very smartly, bar one or two signings like Granit Xhaka, they bought players that they knew would have good resale value. So, Sunderland lose every game left this season and go down, which they obviously won't.
Yeah,
Players like Diarra, etc., are going to get picked up, and
Siddiqui, yeah.
I mean, a
Place like
lot
that.
of them. I mean, Robin Rose bought for a packet of Chris, really, right? Would get a very sizable fee now, for example. There were several others like that.
Yeah,
So Sunderland's risk has paid off, not just because their league position, but actually probably would have paid off anyway, even if they'd gone back down. The danger is that others view it and go, "Oh, this is what Sunderland did."
it's
And if
easy.
a
Yeah,
club
let's just
like
do it.
Preston comes up and goes, "Oh, let's spend 160 million net or something," and then goes back down, and your profiles are not wrong or not right, or you've not got resellable
You
assets,
can't shift
you're
them.
in you're in you're
Yeah,
in possibly catastrophic trouble. And it's so
absolutely.
difficult for clubs to adjust and come up and do that the first time round. It was perfect storm for Sunderland in hindsight. I mean, me and Sujad identified that probably quite early in the season and said what they've done is quite smart.
Yeah.
Do we like the change ultimately? Yes or no?
I'm open to. I'm not going to criticize it. I mean, it's ultimately it'll still be an added level of excitement, but I question whether it was needed, to be honest. But I mean, the clubs have voted for it, so obviously there is appetite. This is not something that's been forced on the clubs. The majority vote has gone with it, so makes the clubs happier. So I guess we'll see how it goes. Yeah, I don't think it was needed though.
I mean, I never thought it'd be something I'd have to think about, but
No.
ask me where I am in the league next year, and I'll tell you, mate. Um, More changes in terms of laws. This is actual law change, and we're gonna get these for the World Cup. We've got some changes definitively happening. They're going to become official kind of legislation from June the 1st. Not all of them will necessarily be incorporated into English football. I was going to say the Premier League, but I need to think beyond that now, David. Into English football next season, there are certain ones that could be opted out, certain leagues. For example, we could have more VAR,
Yay. Yeah,
but
in the
leagues,
World Cup.
but leagues can opt out.
Yeah.
Um, so one of the things they're going to look at is potentially corners. If there's obvious one, David is massively shaking his head.
That's the one that's really annoyed me. We don't need VAR checking whether a corner's right to be given or not. Just sometimes you get a shit decision from a assistant referee. It's just it is what it is. Just defend the corner and crack on. Don't need to be going to VAR for this sort of stuff. The other stuff they've mentioned, I'm not going to sort of immediately shit all over it. There may be some noble sort of reasons for wanting to like cracking down on time wasting and stuff like that. Fair enough, but we want less of this stuff, not more of it. Corners doesn't. It's just not needed for me. I don't think.
VAR for me was brought in for clear and obvious mistakes. In a world where Crystal Palace don't get a penalty last night, that would be a clear and obvious
Yeah,
error.
yeah,
It's not a Tottenham fan in the world that thinks that's the wrong decision, right? Every single one of us can go, yeah, and we can even look at it and go, red card feels a little bit harsh in terms of the consequence, but by law, we all understand that that is the right decision. If Crystal Palace had not got a penalty last night, you would expect VAR to intervene and go penalty, red card. No one argues it. That's what it should be for.
yeah.
Absolute, clear, and obvious. Not for Ishmael Assar's nose. Fella don't even have a big nose. Um, yeah. At the same time, I do accept if it's something that can be done off one replay and is quick enough, fine. How many times do you see it and it's like, oh, goalkeeper did get a touch on that as he pushed it wide?
Well, there's
But this is not what VAR is for because I just know ultimately it's gonna become he crossed it, it got blocked. Did it take a double ricochet? Oh, let's look at that for 30 seconds to make sure it's a call. It's gonna end up that way.
yeah. There's a guy on that. So there's a BBC article that you sent me the link to sort of make me aware of all this stuff. And there was a former, I think it was Howard Webb's former assistant, Darren Cann, he's called. He made the argument it's actually really, really quick and simple to sort of look at a replay, check whether it was a corner or not, relay it, and then crack on. So he would know more than me because he said he's sat in these studios in Stockley Park and stuff. But it's still just even if that is true, and I doubt it to be honest, because like none of this stuff seems to be immediate. It's just not needed. I don't think. Sometimes you're just unlucky. You deserve a corner, you don't get one. Just just go on with it. Their argument is: imagine if someone goes out of the World Cup by their opponent scoring from a corner that they didn't deserve. It's like, well, should have defended the
I give an
corner. It's
example.
fine.
This is a clear one because most people, we didn't even discuss this on the Game Review podcast, but you seen Rodri's goal the other night for
Yeah.
Manchester City?
Mm.
Right. Did you watch it in the first replay? I think that's come off Semenyo.
Yeah.
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 We took several looks round to kind of analyze it. To go, actually, it's not hit Semenyo. It's come off. I think it was Ibrahim Sangari's elbow.
Thank God it didn't because I've not
Look,
got him.
so many looks at that, honestly. So under that circumstance where that happens and that deflects out for a corner rather than going around and go, what happens? What happens at that first look? You look at it, go, that's come off Semenyo. Let's say Semenyo's the defender for the hypothetical for the example. That's come off Semenyo. First look, bang, give the corner, score from the corner. And then the more you analyze it, you look back and actually it was like, actually came off Sangari.
Yeah.
What happens?
I don't know what you can do.
I do think in most circumstances, I agree with Darren Carney's version of events that, yeah, I think most of us see a replay and go, oh, that was a corner or that was a goal kick. First time.
Yeah,
And if that's how it's going to be viewed first time, I don't have too much of a problem with that, particularly for the corner being given because corners take so bloody long anyway now. And I mentioned this, I think, on the Game Review pod yesterday. And a lot of that is because it's the time for players to get a break. Even all that pushing and shoving stuff in the penalty area, a lot of that is right. Let's get our breath back. Let's cause a
yeah,
bit. Let's have a break from the game for a minute. So I'm going to speed more stuff up. Countdowns for goal kicks, throw-ins, and substitutions.
not corners.
Following the success, and I think it probably has been a success, the 8 second time limit imposed on goalkeepers, it is clear, and when you're in the ground, it is clear that a referee, and it causes a bit of panic as well, actually, in the ground. Like, because I can't see how many fingers the referee's got left, but he's definitely got his arm in the air and he's counting down. So put the ball down and just kick it. Um, that I think has had some success. So with that, they're now saying they want to do a countdown that will apply to goal kicks and throw-ins. So I presume at that point, it's what point do you start? If you're a goalkeeper, and we get this stuff now, but the goalkeeper's got the ball in his hands and he rolls it to one of his centre backs to the side. When's your countdown start? Is it when the goalkeeper's got the ball?
Yeah, that's
Is
a
it
good
when he's
point.
put it
Yeah,
down? When he's give it to his mate? What happens if Vicario gives Mickey van der Ven the ball to his left and then Mickey picks it straight up and then gives it back to
yeah,
Romero? What are you going to do? Book all three of them?
yeah. Because footballers will get creative with all this, won't they? Definitely. Yeah, that needs to be clearly defined for
Yeah,
sure. Yeah,
I'm sure Arteta will be first on that one. Throw-ins, I like.
yeah,
Because I think that should then be right. You're in possession, and you're trying to steal yards and stuff like that. Throw-ins, I think, works.
yeah.
I just think if you're going to implement it, it should be implemented for corners as well.
Yeah, yeah. That was a glaring gap I noticed, especially given the discourse around corners at the moment, how long they're taking. But yeah, anything that sort of stops gamesmanship and keepers sort of pushing their luck, I'm behind generally.
It has to be punishment for these things, though. You're going
Mm.
to do it properly. You say, yeah. So let's say Saka's taking the corner, and Arsenal like to methodically take their time, not the only one on it. But if first time Saka takes longer than 8 seconds to take the corner once he's put the ball down, right, it's yellow card. You've got to be strict. If it happens again, you're getting sent off. But they've said it's not for corners, so it doesn't matter. So actually, this is really bad news for fullbacks on
Yeah,
throw-ins because they'll take the majority of the throw-ins.
yeah, they do. Yeah, yeah, that's a
So
good point.
that's bad for them. If one of your centre backs got booked on the goal kick, you just get the other one to take the next one in terms of delaying time.
Bring a
I
sub on to get
presume
booked. Yeah,
what they want to do with this is if it's is turn possession over, which obviously has an impact. So if you take more than 8 seconds on the goal kick, I think it needs to be, by the way, yellow card as well. It's shit, but reality, stop it happening and you give the corner. That sounds like it's going to be that they'll turn the possession over. Like when the goalkeeper holds the ball too long, corner is given to the opposition. In the throwing case, you relent possession, you turn it over to the opponent. I've I've got concerns on this. I just think ultimately what we've done is we've let mismanagement on timekeeping go on too long and not punishing it. That's why I say I think yellow cards probably needs to be a part of it because we're not punishing people anymore. We're letting too many people, whatever the circumstance, get away with taking too long over things. My concern is as well though that because of these implementations, if they work like the goalkeeper one, my viewpoint on this is that they want the game to just continually be fast, and that's great, and that's all well and good. You are running out of ways, like I've used the corner example, to now delay the football match. There is only one way out:
the players are going to get more injured, aren't they? If
feigning
there's
injuries.
yeah,
Now, there's been some discussion about that as well.
head injuries as well. It's a guaranteed stop of the game, isn't it? If you
Well, the head injury is, yeah. Um, there's threats to, so I think what they want to do is double the 30-second regulation where players are going off. So this line of a substitute, so a substitute player must leave the field within 10 seconds. is another thing. So that will certainly speed up the go off at the closest point of the pitch. If they fail to do so, the replacement will not immediately be able to come on. A team must play with one fewer for at least 60 seconds until the ball next goes out. Imagine you like you're really struggling to walk though, like you are properly injured. Quick, get to the line within 10 seconds. There has to be a little bit of discretion in that. Um, and I think that there might be something implemented in terms of injuries as well. I don't know if that line's in there as well.
This is a lot for refs to sort of be across, though, isn't it? I mean, it's already. I wouldn't be a ref if you paid me, to be honest. It's a lot to be across, to sort of be on top of all this and remember the right punishments. And yeah, we do have to remember it is a pretty tough gig, refereeing, isn't it? Especially if all this additional stuff comes in.
More VAR, second yellow cards
Yeah,
to be reviewed.
as long as it's quick, I'm not totally against that, to be honest.
So I used the example yesterday of the Jacob Ramsey one with Newcastle the other night and said, I think most people think probably let him get away with that. But if VAR is looking at it, I don't think you could disprove that
Yeah,
he
you
maybe
can't.
went down too easy. So I think decision stands.
Yeah, it's not clear and obvious, is it? As you say,
I
it's to remove the howlers, isn't it? I think.
a lot of this has come. There was an incident, and I think we even referenced it on this podcast a few weeks ago. An incident in a Juventus Inter Milan game where a
Fully
player
agree.
got sent
Yeah,
off for a second yellow card, and like he didn't touch the opponent, and it obviously impacted the result of the game. Um, I think for what I'd want with that is all opposition player has cheated. If you are going to use VAR, right, intervene on that and say, well, just look, sorry, that's simulation. What happens in a scenario where player commits a second offence like Souza on Munoz last night and he goes, clearest yellow card I've ever seen. But 10 minutes earlier, he's been booked for something that's very innocuous
yeah, we
and
said
isn't
that,
a
didn't
yellow
we?
card.
You
Like,
can't re-review the first yellow, can you? Yeah,
no, it's
shit,
like
isn't it?
we're just getting more implementation of VAR. They're
Yeah,
taking our game. It's how I
I,
feel.
I feel the same. Yeah, I'd get rid of all of it, but
Taking the spontaneity out of the game.
it's not happening, is it? Yeah.
I'm sure even last night in the away end, Palace fans thinking, oh, it's probably a good chance that's offside on the first goal. You'd have no way of telling from the other end of the ground.
Oh no.
I'm sitting on the side, not far in line with it. I knew it was close. I got fucking clue. Obviously, I couldn't tell that his nose was marginally offside. Okay, I don't want to talk about refereeing decisions anymore, David. Let's talk about the FA Cup. You're in that big game tonight. You're going to do better than you did on Tuesday.
One would hope so. Yeah. God, yeah. Tuesday. There was some top tier swearing from me on Tuesday watching that.
Does she still love you?
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah.
Mine is, I think she's walking, she doesn't need to, bless her, I love you, wife. She is walking around on eggshells about Tottenham at the moment, I
Yeah,
think.
bless
Particularly
her.
like last night, she didn't, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, fine. I've got you. I'm now going to go and sit in a dock room.
See you later. Yeah, well, we've got Galatasaray on Tuesday, and obviously yourselves on Sunday, and they are, I would argue, much more important games than tonight. If put it this way, if Slot wins the FA Cup, great, but I don't know whether that will move the needle on the narrative of whether he should stay as manager or not. So,
Do you want him to move the needle?
what do I want Slot out? Are you saying?
Well, yeah. Do you want him to put himself in a position where he can't be dismissed?
Yeah, yeah. I'm still on the fence with it. It feels like I'm increasingly in the minority there, but
Your face told me Xabi Alonso. That was all I could hear.
yeah. Well, it's you probably get to a point where it's now or never with Alonso, isn't it? Because he's not going to stay out of work forever. But I mean, we've spoke about Slot till the cows come home on this podcast. I still think there's a lot of mitigating circumstances for why Liverpool's struggling. That's not entirely in his hands, but he has made mistakes, no doubt about that. But yeah, Liverpool probably needs to think about the team they want to pick in Turkey on Tuesday and then work backwards from that for tonight. I think I certainly wouldn't be playing Florian Wirtz tonight, and don't see the point of that. Probably try and get him ready for Tuesday. So yeah, there'll be some changes. Engamoa played longer than usual on Tuesday night. Brought him on for Gakpo just after the hour mark. So I possibly he starts tonight. Maybe Chiesa gets a game. Don't know how seriously Wolves will take it. I mean, probably pretty seriously because despite the run that they've been on, they're more than likely to go down. So give the FA Cup a crack, and they know they can beat us. So yeah, see how it goes. But yeah, Tuesday was to lose the game having conceded from their first shot in 78 minutes takes a bit of doing. To be honest, it was yeah very disappointing.
Should you lose again,
Mm.
the permutations will obviously change moving forward. Now, I think what I'd warn people on this in the first instance that if something like that happens, it'll be, oh, so what does that mean? What does that change? Well, Wolves wouldn't take Liverpool's place immediately as the projected team to make a semi final instead. I think you'll get a bit of a split of opinion. This is important because I think across Leeds, Sunderland, very sizable clubs, versus Brentford, Fulham, both been better this season. I think you'll get a bit of a split of opinion from even bookmakers and even personal's own viewpoint of who would then be the most likely team to make a semi-final instead. If
Mm.
you pinned it on me, I'd probably go Fulham
Yeah, I agree
because
with
I
that.
think Brentford have got a harder tie than Fulham with respect to Southampton. So if Liverpool lost tonight, I would change the projection that Fulham would be an FA Cup semi-finalist. That would potentially impact Aston Villa. Fulham are scheduled to play Aston Villa in game week 34. Arsenal play at Mansfield. I'm not even going to entertain the idea that Arsenal won't win that football match. Sorry, not sorry. But obviously, it goes then next in line. Chelsea go to Wrexham.
Yeah, that'd be a good watch. That.
Um, yes, I'd be interested to see how strong a lineup Chelsea will pit. And I'm sure for Wrexham, they'll be very much up for it. They're playing yourselves, David, I noticed on a US tour in the summer,
Yes, I saw that. Yeah, Sunderland
along
too,
with
is it?
Sunderland
Yeah,
and was it Brentford? Who
I
was the
think
other
that's
team?
right. Yeah, that's right.
Which is interesting because when the rumor originally went round, it was expects Liverpool and three other English sides
Haha, Wrexham.
to be. I'm not sure how much the Welsh Dragons are going to appreciate that. Actually,
No.
I think it's one of our patrons said maybe they're just assuming they're English because they play in the English league. So if Chelsea went out, that'll move to projections. The key one, of course, is obviously Newcastle Manchester City. That's probably the key game in terms of projections the weekend. Because if Newcastle go through, they will definitely be in the projections as an FA Cup semi-finalist before the draw. If they were then drawn away to Arsenal, not. But they would then take the place as first in line. They can't at the moment because they're scheduled to play Manchester City. If they win, they definitely become a projected FA Cup semi-finalist. And obviously, remember, Newcastle are scheduled to go to the Emirates in game week 34. That potentially takes a fixture away from you
Mhm.
in game week 33. That said, you could get another one added in terms of City Greed Crystal Palace, but remember, you ain't going to get that if Liverpool are obviously an FA Cup semi-finalist, because Liverpool Palace would have to be brought forward if Aston Villa are still in the quarterfinals of the Europa League. So there's things that can change the projections quite quickly. I think, how would you order the rest in terms of Leeds, Fulham, Brentford, Sunderland? And then I think West Ham at the moment last just because they're in the biggest shit at the bottom of the table, basically, and then Wolves after that as well. How would you order Leeds, Brentford, Sunderland, Fulham
In the FA
before they've
Cup.
played as projections for the FA Cup? I
So
think they'll
Leeds,
be really close.
yeah, you'd expect Leeds and Sunderland to progress, wouldn't you, this weekend? Brentford, like you say, that's a, despite West Ham being down.
Brentford have got the hardest tie of the four, but
Yeah,
also I think once Brentford went through, you'd go, well, it's probably them that's been the best in the league this year.
they should be giving the FA Cup a good crack, Brentford as well, given where they are in the league. So there's
I think point being here is we can't rule out the possibility that those four clubs are playing each other in the quarterfinals,
yeah, it's more than possible
and it
now.
becomes rough to call.
Mm.
I think actually because those are games that could definitely go either way. So immediate ones, if Liverpool lose, obviously changes the projection. We can't expect Arsenal to lose. I think Chelsea have a challenge tomorrow night. Newcastle Man City does feel like it's the key game. What would you predict as biggest shock for the weekend?
Biggest shock for the weekend, I will say the most likely Wrexham to beat Chelsea.
I go South. South. Is it Southampton? Fulham are playing.
Yeah, at Craven
Southampton
Cottage.
to win at Fulham. I don't suppose it comes. It's not like an FA Cup shock. I just mean surprise result. There you go. Here's one
Newcastle to
for you.
beat City, would that be a shock? I don't think it would be, would it?
I guess that would depend when we see the Man City team.
Yeah.
Look, it's Newcastle at St James's. You know what they're capable of.
I would not be surprised if Wolves beat us again tonight, if I'm honest.
I wouldn't either
Yeah.
because I think they'll pick quite a strong side actually.
Yeah.
So, yep, this is why I said to you yesterday, guys. Please log out. There is shit that can change. We'll obviously discuss it. I've got an Ask James stream Sunday night. It's going to be 8 p.m. UK time. Obviously, we'll have the first 7 results. We won't have the draw at that point because West Ham play Brentford on Monday night, but we can start knocking a few things out and saying, look, this is now more likely. Maybe this is the sort of draw that you want tomorrow to help your understanding. Me and Suj will do a chip strategy podcast next Thursday once I get back from my latest travels in Madrid, which I'm very much looking forward to because I imagine it might be the last European trip I go on for about a fucking decade, David.
Unless they bring back the Anglo-Italian Cup, maybe.
Just for Spurs. You're all right.
I enjoy it, mate. It's a great city. It might
I do
just
like
be
Madrid. It's great.
might be the game that you need as well, like you said before. It's almost a free hit. Um, if it gives you a bit of confidence, then yeah.
Oh,
And
it's definitely that.
if you get slapped, it's expected, isn't it? So yeah.
I don't know. I wouldn't say slapping's expected, but they've been a bit Jekyll and Hyde themselves,
Yeah.
athletic recently. I mean, they beat Barcelona 4-0 in a Copa del Rey first leg, didn't they? And it actually very
Yeah.
nearly went to extra time, I think, in the
They won
second leg.
3-0 in the second
Barca
leg.
won
Yeah.
3-0. Did they lose 3-0 with Vallecano recently as well?
Yeah,
So
they've had some bad
they,
results.
they've had a mixed bag of results. We will obviously do UCL Fantasy on Patreon on Monday, and that's where you can support the show if you'd like to do so. www.patreon.com/Planet FPL. David, thank you for cancelling me. For any Spurs fans who want to reach out, don't. No, you can. My DMs are open. My DMs are open to everybody all the time. Smash a like, hit the sub. Audio listeners, 5-star review goes a really long way. Be nice to each other, everyone. Have a great weekend. Cue music, please, man child.